he's here?
Well, I came here because this is part of our culture, and I think it looks nice, it's classy, and it's something that I want to share with the world. And I've always wanted one. My tío, Humberto, was a zoot suiter with a gray sharkskin zoot suit in Tucson, Arizona in the 1940s that I believe my tata made for him. So I'm here to represent, and I want to thank everyone here for their very professional treatment and their knowledge and their commitment to serving our community.
I don't know if he mentioned that he was a teacher. Did you?
Yeah. I
did you say that?
teach Chicano studies at Sunnyside High School, my alma mater, and I think it's wonderful that I'm ready now to represent and teach, not just with words but with action. The Zoot Suit era was a very important era in our history, in this country's history, and in Chicano history.
Okay, and we just want to thank him for traveling to do.
Hello, Pachuco Landia. This is JJ Gonzalez with El Pachuco Zoot Suits, Pachuco Lifestyle, our 11th edition. And we invited a special friend from Tucson, Arizona, Ray Siqueiros from Tucson, Arizona, former high school teacher, artist, knowledgeable about the Pachuco culture. And so we wanted to have him on to just share a little knowledge about the whole culture and the art background. So Ray, how are you?
I'm great, man. This COVID's nasty, but this country's going through some nasty times too. So I'm trying to keep it PG-13 here.
All right. Yeah, there's a lot of issues right now.
A lot of issues.
And I know you've been through a few, so we'll get into them. But why don't we start off, Ray, with give us a little bit of your background. We already said you're a former high school teacher. Give us a little background where you grew up and education, your family, and what you're doing, what you're going to do now as a former high school teacher.
Well, real quick, I come from a long line of working class, mineros, rancheros, indígenas. I'm a mestizo Chicano from here in Arizona. My heritage includes Spanish, Irish, Atom, some Yaqui, and I'm very proud. I'm very proud to be here. I represent a lot of hard work from my ancestors who struggled so that we could be survived, just like we're struggling for our children to survive. I got into education because as a young man, I became a committed activist in the Chicano movement. I joined MECHA, became president at University of Arizona MECHA. But more importantly, I just wanted to make a difference using my skills of communication, motivation, and to uplift the people through education, educate to liberate. And I became a Chicano studies teacher. I helped pioneer the Mexican-American studies programs you all might have heard about in Arizona. I helped start them both in TUSD, Tucson Unified School District, and I also helped start them and implement curriculum, create curriculum, and implement curriculum in the Sunnyside Unified School District, and it's still going on. Miss Tiffany Mendibles, shout out, she's taking over for me, Chicana Power.
All right. Yeah, and so how many years have you been in the education field, right?
Over 25 years. I started off as a tutor, making like $6 an hour and working with Raza kids and noticing, wow, I kind of helped this kid in 15 minutes more than her teacher did or his teacher did.
Right.
And it's in math, and I suck in math. So maybe I should go into education, man. And I did. And it's a tough road. It's tough, man, especially now with COVID. My heart goes out to all my brothers and sisters and the kids and the parents dealing with the Cheeto head up there in Washington. But we're going to take care of him, I'm pretty sure. We're going to take care of him. All right.
So now our story is when we first met at the store, you had come in from Arizona to get yourself a zoot suit with your wife. So tell us a little bit about that journey and what brought you. I think that was your first time at the store. So tell us a little bit about that journey and why you chose to come down to Fullerton, California and get your zoot suit.
Hey, I've always wanted a zoot suit. In fact, my wife reminded me when we first met, like 27 years ago, you used to tell me you wanted a zoot suit. And I don't know, I just was always busy. I was always working, organizing the community, raising kids, the whole shebang. But I decided that it was time to make a special effort to come out, and I had seen your place about 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, and I came by, but it was we were on a family vacation to the beach, and you guys were closed. I think it was Sunday, and I'm like, dang! But it always stayed in the back of my mind, and I was just so happy, man. It was a beautiful, beautiful experience. It feels like it was meant to be. You all, your family is like part of my family. It was just an amazing, amazing day, and I love wearing my zoot suit, and hopefully you'll get to see that little quick clip of me wearing it when I got it that day.
Right.
That really says it all right there. That 2-minute clip or whatever it is, 30-second.
All right. And now, we were just having a little discussion before this interview about, your background and the history as we see the books beside you. So give us a little bit of the cultura part of it about the Pachuco, lifestyle, the culture. Give us a little knowledge on that, Ray.
Well, I have to say that, for me, it started in 1977, 1978. A lot of us Chicanos in Tucson South Side, as probably throughout the nation, our young people go through a rite of passage. It's called an identity formation. There's a educational psychologist named Erickson who said that every young person, no matter class, race, or background, has to establish a clear self-identity in order to experience success in life. If you don't feel pride, if you don't feel connected, if you don't feel you know who you are and where you come from and where you're going, you're a victim. You're a victim of so many things in life. So as a young man, I was very blessed to have some conscious uncles and parents, my dad even, and my mom said, hey, mijo, because she saw me dressing like a little cholito. And this is before Crips and Bloods and all that kind of took over in Tucson anyway. And we were wearing bandanas, and I was wearing khakis, and I was slicking my hair back, and she gave me a media to put my hair back, and she said, mijito, your tío Veto was a Pachuco here in Tucson in the 40s. I go, what? What's a Pachuco? And she explained to me what a Pachuco was. She goes, he had a gray shark skin suit, and his name was El Veto, and all his homies would come. Is Humpert here? They wouldn't even call him Veto. They called him Humpert because his real name was Humberto. And he'd go do his thing, and my mom used to really idolize him, and he was a World War II veteran, a Marine. He had his clashes with life though, because of his being a Pachuco and his service to our country. But he was a real strong Chicano, and it was a real eye opener for me, seeing him grow up and then having him as a role model. So, my tío Beto was a Pachuco. My tata used to speak Calo or slang. So did my tío, my parents. I grew up speaking more like a slang Spanish. My Spanish sucked. I had to go to college and relearn it, and just speak it here in the barrio.
Right.
But that was my first venture into being a cholo. The movie Boulevard Nights really kind of hit for a lot of my generation. We saw lowriders. I made a lowrider mirror in woodshop, a 1972 Monte Carlo based on Boulevard Nights lowrider. We started dressing around as cholos. Some of the neighbors started getting scared. We could have gone different ways. I never really got into the gang banging aspect of it. It was, for me, a badge of pride, of ethnic identity formation. Right. And I have more about that, but I'd like to have you ask me a question or jump in here.
All right. Yeah, no, we must be around the same age because I had same memories going to excited to see a movie with Chicanos in it, lowriders, and, cruising actually with Boulevard Nights. I still remember like yesterday being in a theater at Rosemead, California, full of gente in that movie theater. It's excitement. So yeah, you bring up some memories when you bring that up. You're all right. And so as far as the Pachuco scene, what can you give us as far as the other history that you know about what took place?
Well, to pick up on the concept of identity and the real importance of identity formation, there's three main aspects to that I used to work with. I worked with in myself through some of these books, especially this book by a Puerto Rican author in the 50s called Down These Mean Streets. There's another book that Luis Rodriguez wrote, Always Running.
Right.
And they talk about, identity formation. I got to meet as a young man, Stokely Carmichael, made a speech for Chicano rights, and he came up to me and gave me a really nice compliment. The movimiento for me is what took over and helped shape my identity. But in the process of identity formation, there are three things. There's self-discovery, struggle, both positive and negative, and transformation. So if your listeners could get on that, especially the younger listeners, even the older ones, focus on self-discovery. It's a never-ending process. Who you are, where do you come from, what's your heritage? It's okay to be Indian. It's okay. The word Xolo, I learned last night, is a Nahua word. It's Xolo, Xolo, because X is pronounced sh in Nahua, in our true language, as Mexicanos. So, the word Pachuco, I learned last night. According to one author, it's a Kiowa word from the area of West Texas, because a Kiowa nation was very prominent in the 1860s out here, and they used to refer to Mexicanos in El Paso as Pachucos and another other things. So, there's a lot of history.
Right.
And so that self-discovery, that being proud, being brown, being proud, learning, and all of it. Don't just look at the Spanish. Look everything. Look at everything.
Right.
And be who you are. And then the second one, the struggle. Life for me is struggle. I think for the raza everywhere, there's no easy way. If you guys have found an easy way to live life, tell me. But no matter what you do, there's going to be struggle.
Right.
Now, the beautiful thing about the word struggle is that we actually, if you have a sense of self-discovery and a self-identity, you can choose your struggles. And it's still a struggle, but it's a positive struggle. And for me, that was seeking to educate, to uplift others. Yeah, I get paid. I'm not doing it for totally free, but I'm not in it for just money.
Right.
Teachers go into teaching to make a difference, not to make money. We all know that. But there's struggles, so pick positive struggles if you can.
Right.
They're all there. They're right there. But a lot of times in life, the solutions are right in front of you, but if you're not looking for it, you won't see it.
Right. And, as you said that too, I just posted on Facebook something that popped up that everyone's discussing is, the Chicano moratoriums coming up this weekend. A couple of marches, I know, taking place in LA, but they also re-released the interview with Ruben Salazar,
nice,
the reporter that died during those marches, on that day of the march. But in regards to a melting pot that Chicanos, Mexican Americans were thought to be, we're going to go in the melting pot and become part of this Americanized, segment of the United, of the community. And he says, our culture is too strong to, we have so much history and so much culture, the music, the food that, we're still gonna be proud, Americans, but we're still gonna respect and honor our heritage. And I really appreciate that. And if anyone wants to see that clip, see it, because it's so it's just extraordinary statement that he made. And that was back in the 70s, I think, when he did that interview. So yeah, definitely our culture is strong, and we got to honor it.
Well, I want to know who said that in order to be first of all, the word American, that's a foreign word.
Right.
That's an immigrant word. That's from Amerigo Vespucci in 1640 some. That vato came over here when our ancestors were already here.
Right.
And he made a map for Spain. And because the Spanish crown loved it so much, they named it after him, but they feminized it and called it America.
Right.
So when we say America, what does that mean?
Right.
Mexica or Nahua or Atam or Yoeme. Those are true American words.
Right.
So we need, again, educate to liberate. There's a lot of ignorance out there.
Right.
But I can be forgiving on some people if they just don't know.
Right.
But there's too many people, including in our community, I'm sorry to say, that don't know and don't want to know.
Yeah.
I can't forgive that.
Right.
Well, I can forgive it. I can understand it, but it infuriates me.
Right.
Because that's like, again, that's denying yourself. And if you deny yourself, you can't get to the next phase, which is struggle.
Right.
So there's positive struggles, there's negative struggles. You know, for me, unfortunately, one of the rites of passages for me was drinking and doing drugs, alcohol, marijuana, all this other stuff.
Right.
And that has been a struggle for me to have to learn how I can be strong within myself without that. In fact, I'm learning now that there are mental drugs. There are ideological drugs. It's all about denial, and it's all about denying truth.
Right.
So you can do this kind of drug, or you could do this kind of drug, or you could do like mental drugs that deny the truth because it's painful.
Right.
But we're strong people, man. If you know our history, again, that goes back to that self-discovery piece. You'll know that we're strong. Look what we've been through: genocide, homicide, fratricide. We're survivors, and we're going to make it through it. And, you know, as far as us assimilating, you know, that's a joke, man. America's more like a tossed salad. You don't put your salad in a blender when you eat it. You keep that tomato, you keep that bacon, you keep all that lechuga, you keep it all, and it keeps its integrity.
Right.
And that's what makes the salad taste great.
Right.
You don't blend it, you don't mix it, you don't melt it. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
So, but you know, if anybody has a claim to defining what a true American is, and we don't, nobody does really. Right. We do. We have more say, but you know, we just want to share and get along and work with people. At least I do. Right. Most of us do. And you know, we just want to be treated with equality and justice.
Right.
But this country, you know, is a hypocrite.
Yeah. All right. Great words, man. Great words. And then let's touch on a little. You know, go off the cultura and all. Well, not off it, but you know, talk about your artwork. You're an artist as well. Man. And what can you tell us about that aspect of your life? You sent me some pictures and stuff, some awesome stuff. So what can you add to that, Ray, about the artist part of your background?
You know, it just kind of came out. About 15 years ago, I was working really hard here, 20 years actually, organizing marches for Cesar Chavez Day here in Tucson, and for bilingual education rights and for Chicano rights. And we were very, very lucky, very blessed to have a lot of support. But being as a teacher with kids and the house payment and student loans, I was getting tired of spending out of my pocket what little money I had for water, for signs and whatnot. So I decided to try to figure out how to make T-shirts and silkscreen to make a little feria, so that for the next year's march, I have a little seed money, you know?
Right.
And I hustled. I went online and I taught myself how to do it. And that's how I started using my drawing skills, my creativity skills to get into art. And then I found a school in Phoenix. It's no longer there. It's called the U.S. Screen Printing Institute with Scott and Pat Fresner and Mike Fresner. And they taught me more about how to get, you know, high level screen printing skills. And I met an old hippie white dude named Spider. And we hit it off, man. We hit it off. He thought because I was Chicano that I would hate him because he's white. And I'm like, no, you know, I was raised, you treat people the way you want to be treated. Right. Don't matter who they are. If they treat you cool, you be cool to them. Don't matter who they are, what they look like, you treat people fair. That's how I was raised. So, you know, we hit it off real good. And he goes, Ray, and I go, what? Have you heard of an airbrush? And I said, no, what? I think so. I've seen it. And he goes, no, it's an airbrush, man. I go, what's an airbrush? It's a little like a pen tool where you press down for air and pull back for paint. I'm like, nah. Anyway, he shared with me, and he had a stroke, so he couldn't really like show me himself, but he wrote me like, I don't know, 50 emails at least, giving me little ideas. And he just took me under his wing, and he told me, he says, Ray, I'm real happy. I used to go to his house sometimes and visit. He goes, I'm real happy because here in Phoenix, I always wanted to teach a Chicano, you know, what I know. But I felt like they didn't want me around because I'm white, and, you know, I don't know. But I was real open. So I got into airbrushing, and, you know, I did this little cat just last week, and his background sign, and I did portraits. I did check this out. I did a CD cover based on a T-shirt I airbrushed for this guy whose name is Chuck Negron. And Chuck Negron or Negron, he wrote this book. Okay, one summer I love to read, as you can see. And I read this book, his autobiography, and I used to listen to Three Dog Night. I mean, they were big in the 70s, man, 8-track. And I loved his music. And then I read his book. And then after I was reading his book, that's when MySpace just started. And just for the heck of it, I said, I wonder if he, has any friends. Because I had no friend, so he was actually my first friend. And he gets back to me the next day. He sees some of my artwork and he says, Ray, how much would you charge to do some work for me? So that was really awesome. So I've done artwork for a couple bands. There's a group called, this sounds bad, Silence in Chains, some heavy rock, heavy metal rock, and I did some work for them. So it all kind of started, though, from me wanting to continue my work, building unity and awareness for social justice and equality in our community. Right. For respect for our leaders like Cesar Chavez. Most of our kids, they have no clue. Right. I worked in a high school, my alma mater, Sunnyside High School. I did 2 years ago. I went after school and I talked to 50 kids. I go, hey, do you know who Dolores Huerta is? She a singer? Nah, Dolores Huerta. Nah, who is she? So I tell them. I did that with 45 kids. 2 kids out of 45. Yeah, she's an activist. She worked with Cesar Chavez for the farm workers. Our kid, there's a real need. Right. There's a real need. Our children don't know their history and their culture. So, that's how I kind of got into art. I wanted to just make a difference, really. And now I don't know. I'm just kind of open. I'm hoping to, maybe work with you guys and work with some kids in your area there and create some kind of images and not just, create the product, although the product is important. It's a process. It's a process of engagement, of working with our young people, of helping them develop not just artistic skills, but social skills, the skill of loving yourself, the skill of forgiving yourself, the skill of loving others, the skill of serving others and feeling good about that. Those are things that I want to do, I think, as an artist.
Great. Well, now Pachuco looks, we're 100%. We want to, join you. And we have a couple of projects at the store that we've been talking about. Hopefully when this COVID is over, we get back and on it. And we have a lot of one thing that COVID has allowed people to do, and also the store to do, is to rethink about our business model. What do we want to do? What do we want to, how do we want to continue in the future? And that's, of course, definitely be involved in the community and having some art projects that we can do at the store, such as, one of the ideas is to put a mural. So when people come and visit, they can, take pictures, but something that's really meaningful. So I think that's what we're working on. But Ray, great to have you on, but let me just go ahead and break in. We're about to wrap up. I know we went a little bit long, but I mean, I want to have you on again because this is an amazing discussion, and it's great to start talking about these issues, because as much as we say, don't let history repeat itself, it constantly does, and we need to remind ourselves of our history and our culture. So I just want to say that on behalf of Phyllis and Ray Sr., Ray Jr., and Vanessa, Linda, and myself, Pachuco Zoot Suits, we're still closed right now to the public. We are selling online, so please keep sending your orders in. We're small, minority, woman-owned business, and we're trying to make it through to keep on going for the next 40 years. We will be celebrating 42 years in business this September, actually next month. So we'll be coming up with a couple ideas of what we can do to celebrate, of course, with masks and remote distance, having the distance in place. But if you have any questions, Vanessa is still answering the phone, 714-526-3743, or contact us at alpachuco.com. So Ray, we're going to come back to you, and Any parting shots? Any last?
Save me a khaki hat. Save me one of them hats, bro. That's what I had in 1978.
All right.
Like Chuco did in Boulevard Nights.
Yeah.
Save me a hat, and my hat's off. Hey, everybody out there, stay positive, stay good, man. We got a lot to do after this COVID. Register and vote.
Right.
Register and vote, and get involved. Be involved, whatever that means to you. Clean some of Viejita's yard. Help somebody. Help yourself. Do something positive. Good. And peace.
All right, Ray. On behalf of Pachuco Zoot Suits and Pachuco Lifestyles, we just want to say thank you for coming on. We appreciate the knowledge. We want to ask you and your wife, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'd look to see have you come by the store in the very near future. I mean, everything seems to be kind of plateauing or going on the downturn. So hopefully we're around the corner, around the bend to have our store open and to have you come down and share. I'd love to sponsor a little seminar with you on history and art or something like the store.
Teach airbrush. I got to do a little airbrushing class.
There you go. All right.
Kids would love it, man. Kids would
love it.
All right, Ray. All right, brother.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Peace out.